Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Shawn McCall, and I'm from the West Group, which I'm sure most of you guys know that. And this gap year, I did my best to push myself out of my comfort zone at every opportunity. So I thought it'd be fitting for my end presentation to give a speech, which I'm terrified of. But luckily, I have a podium, so you guys can't see my legs shake. And cool. So when I first flew to Mindo, Ecuador, I met all my peers. Right off the bat, I was looking for the differences between me and them. They were into music, and all they talked about was the various concerts they attended throughout high school. But I, however, didn't know a single thing about music. In fact, I still haven't been to a concert to this day. And to emphasize my lack of knowledge, I pronounced the infamous Kanye West, Kane West. Yeah. And very often, my many nerdy references to Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and popular video games were often gone unnoticed, and I get nothing but a weird side glance. And at times, I wasn't even sure if my group and I spoke the same language. Words like sice, helluva, and wicked are all words I'm positive I haven't heard before this trip. I felt as if I was doomed to be separated, alienated, and different from the rest of my peers. It wasn't until day 5 of orientation when I finally began to see the similarities between me and my group. Kate Washburn told us that she had been preparing for months before coming on this trip. And the way she prepared was rather unorthodox. She said that in order to learn how to coexist with 15 other kids for the next 7 months, she had been furiously binge watching the last few seasons of Naked and Afraid. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with this TV series called Naked and Afraid, it's a show where they dump a group of strangers with no equipment, no radio communication devices, and no clothes in God knows where, and they have to learn how to survive together for a few months. Sounds kind of like TVB, but with clothes. Or without clothes. Kate told us that the most successful groups in Naked and Afraid were the ones who were able to set aside their differences and work together to overcome their mission. As I looked around at everyone else, I realized that everyone else had been having the same feelings for the past few days, a struggle to form relationships and to find common ground. That deep down, we all have an innate human desire to relate to one another. So in all the countries I went to and everywhere I went, people did their best to find common ground with me. However, there were 3 distinct moments, each lasting about 5 seconds, that I believe deeply impacted the way I view and interact with people today. The first of these 3 moments was saying goodbye to Pidao, my host mother in Thailand. And I was boarding the bus, bag slung over my shoulder, and I was incredibly reluctant and gloomy to leave. I would say it was almost as tough as leaving my real family back in the States. And so Pidao ran up to me, gave me a huge hug, tears in her eyes, and told me good luck and safe travels. And also, if I didn't find a wife in the United States, I could come back and and she would find me one. She would find me one. Backup plan. Okay. I still miss her very, very much. So Thailand was the country where I thought it would be hardest to relate and connect with my host family. In Ecuador, my French, which I took in high school, would help me out with my communication skills. And in India and South Africa, mostly everyone spoke English. In a rural Thailand village, however, I didn't expect much in the way of communication or connection. The differences between me and my host mother ran much deeper than a language barrier. We had absolutely nothing in common. I could point out hundreds of different differences we had, ranging from our lifestyle and how we grew up to the way we prepared our rice. I'm ashamed to say that when I first saw Pidao, I saw her in a very one-dimensional way, just a simple rice farmer who happened to be my host mother. She, however, treated me like I was her long-lost son. When I was struggling down to cut down rice because of my allergies, she'd come to my side and help me catch up with the others, because we went in rows, kind of like lawnmowers. And she'd give me an encouraging "Zuzu, Homesan, Zuzu," which means "Fight for it, Sean, fight for it." And after we stopped working, she'd go back to the field for another 3 or 4 hours while we attended seminars. And she would come back even after she worked like incredibly hard throughout the day, and she would come back into the evening and teach Stephen, my roommate, and I a bit of Thai. And when language failed, we communicated through a mixture of hilarious facial expressions, hand gestures, and very, very badly drawn pictures. And While I thought Thai was going to be the hardest for me to communicate in, it was actually the language I most excelled in. By the end of Thailand, I was able to hold full conversations thanks to Pidao. However, the most important lesson she taught me is that even if you can't find any similarities between you and another person, you can create common ground by sharing experiences and just connecting with each other. The second of these 5 moments was in South Africa with my soccer buddies, Cthulhu and Ayanda. We had this problem where we would kick the ball repeatedly over the goal into the neighbor's yard. And the moment that was most impactful to me was when we all hit the ball at the same time. It rebounded into an old man's backyard, and we laughed nervously and did a 3-way rock, paper, scissors to see who could get the ball, and I lost. But so while this moment may not seem too extraordinary, the events leading up to my friendship with Cthulhu and Ayanda were probably the moment where I was most out of my comfort zone. Every day after working with my organization, Blood Aid, I would walk home, grab a soccer ball, and I would juggle by myself right outside of my host family's front yard. And as a very socially awkward and shy person, this is my way of hoping someone will ask me if they can play too. Kind of like how birds flash their feathers and bob their heads trying to attract mates. Unfortunately, my bird mating calls failed, and across the street, my future friends, Cthulhu and Ayanda, would watch from about 50 or so feet away. And it took immense effort. I would walk over to them sometimes and then do a 180 back. And so over the week, I finally was able to talk to them and ask them to come play with me. And we didn't become friends like right off the bat, and it took more than asking them just to play soccer with them. But like Pidao, I persisted, asking them to play every day or so, showing them magic tricks and my favorite funny YouTube videos. This experience of reaching out to others and trying to make genuine connections is something I hope I will continue to do in everyday life. The third of these quintessential moments of my gap year actually happened quite recently, just in the past week in Virginia. In Virginia, we all took a solo days where our program leaders banished us out into the forest to be alone with our thoughts. And as I sat amongst the wood, reflecting on my ability to actually follow the news for the first time in 7 months since I had my phone, and all the wonderful people I got to know on my trip on a deep personal level, I was just wondering how my view has changed as I read the newspaper now. And I'm going to go a bit off topic now. And have you guys ever heard of the Turing Test? It was a test created by Alan Turing in the 1950s in order to prove whether or not a computer had enough qualities to be considered human. A subject would sit down at a computer, have a conversation with a machine, and have to determine whether or not they believed that person on the other side of the connection was a human. Yes, in 2014, according to a panel of scientists, we passed this test. And yes, today we have robots writing newspaper articles, and there are very lifelike chatbots to simulate conversations on any subject of your choosing. But still, I am a cynic on whether or not we have passed that test. I think we have still failed to pass Alan Turing's test. In fact, I believe we fail this test on a daily basis, but no, not with robots, but with humans. We fail to see people as people. Let me try and explain myself more clearly. Ever since I've had the ability to follow the news, I've watched shootings, bombings, and even the recent Brussels terror attack go often on the front page in a matter of hours, like 12, 14 hours. We read about gender inequality, racism in schools, the prison camps in North Korea that are not so different than the prisoner of war camps during World War II. I believe that we have failed the Turing test because we, as a society, do not believe that the people who live across the ocean or across the country or the next city over are in fact human. Humans with unique lives filled with emotions, curiosities, hopes, and dreams. We lack empathy because no amount of words, pictures, or videos, or lines of codes can adequately describe the immense depth an individual has. And in order to get to know someone, you need to go beyond the papers, and you need to make a genuine effort to empathize with someone. It's inherently human to be imperfect, to be different than others. All too often, we judge people from the start and fail to delve deeper into their personalities and into their lives. We fail to look past with dissimilarities, to look deeper than their exterior appearances, and to look more closely at their way of life. We are all multifaceted human beings, all of whom don't belong in a single category. However, it takes the effort of getting to know someone and actively search for the similarities or to create common ground in order to overcome our innate human nature to judge someone just because they are different. I strongly believe that the day we all put in the effort to look past one's difference, whatever their gender, their sexuality, their culture, race, or religion, and see the person sitting across from you as human, is the day we will reach a harmonious society. Thank you. I am now here to be questioned and see whether or not I am a human. I reserve the right not to comment.
You probably have a lot of mothers in this room. Something about being one of the few guys with all of these girls around. How was that? And how did you deal with all that?
I mean,
be careful. That wasn't that kind of question.
I don't know. I found on the strip that girls are very not that much different than guys, and although I don't know.
We saw past our differences.
We saw past our differences, yes. And yeah. Gender is a spectrum, according to
In your soccer story, you talked about playing rock, paper, scissors.
Yep.
Is that actually universal? Is that something that people around the world know, or did you teach them rock, paper, scissors?
They knew rock, paper, scissors.
They knew it?
Yeah.
Cool. And what about language barrier with your friends there?
In Seth, they spoke English, but their native language was Cosa.
And was their English?
The English was very decent.
It was?
Yeah.
Did they teach you any Cosa?
Pronouncing Cosa is very, very hard. You click for the sounds X, Z, and V, and so it's not Cosa, it's Cosa. And I still can't do it correctly, but yeah.
What was your favorite country and why?
Probably Thailand, just because I don't know, I just loved my host community in Thailand, and I don't know, I just love how pretty everything is there.
How long did it take you to get so close to Aikido? I didn't really get to like see all of those.
I don't know. It only took like a few weeks. Like I don't know. Like we got really close over the span of a few weeks, and she taught me a lot of Thai. I can name all the fingers and all the toes and all the body parts, and so, yeah.
So did your host mother in Thailand have other children in the house, or you're the only one?
Yeah, I was the only child with Steven, which, yeah.
You're spoiled.
I was a spoiled child.
Could you reflect a little bit on how it was that you bonded so much with your host family in Thailand? Was there some sort of universality between the two of you that sort of got beyond the cultural barriers right away?
I think it was her persistence to like have conversations with me, even though we had like differences, and I don't know, she really put in the effort. Like she would I don't know, she would cook us our favorite meals, and she'd like teach us cooking, and while also simultaneously like, teaching us Thai, and I don't know, she was just really awesome.
As you look forward in terms of future travel, do you think you'd want to go back to one of these countries you visited, or would you want to go to other countries to explore more?
I would definitely want to go back to Thailand, and actually I think I would go back to all the countries except maybe India, because I didn't like India too much. But,
why not India?
for me, I don't know, India was very, very polluted, and it was very crowded, and I don't know, I don't deal with crowds and loud noises and cars zooming past with no speed limits. Yeah.
What do you can go, Mom.
What are you most proud of in your experience in terms of self-growth?
I'm really proud of the fact that I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone this year. Before this trip, I was really socially awkward. I think most of my connections were made through online video games. But so I think this trip really forced me out of my shell and like I just feel like I can communicate better with people, and yeah, I don't know.
That's clear.
Was it hard without your computer and
I've
Wi-Fi and all that stuff?
I've actually realized that I used to think like my computer was like my baby, but now my computer is more of a tool, and my phone is more of a tool, and I actually don't have any games downloaded on anything yet.
What do you think the most important thing for you in being able to connect with host families was? Like, how did you develop empathy for all the people in your host family?
I mean, just seeing how they acted on a day-to-day basis. There's a quote where like language is the key to open doors and to a new community, and so I did my best to learn Spanish, learn Thai. I didn't learn Hindi too well, but I did my best to connect through my persistence and lack of trying, or not lack, trying to communicate.
If you were being an opportunity to talk to yourself a year ago and give yourself advice how you were to approach this year, what would you have said?
Before approaching this year? I wish I wrote home more often. I didn't get to send as many postcards or as many mail letters or emails. Just, I don't know, I just wish I connected more with my family back at home instead of, but I guess it was good because I was so immersed in the culture. So I don't know if I'd change that, but I still love you, family.
So you said India was the one place you would not go back to, but what were the positive experiences you took out of being in India? You must have something positive that comes out of every place you've been to, or been helpful to your adults.
India was the toughest country to adapt to because there is just a different culture. I don't know if I can explain, but personal space was like, for me, I didn't feel like that existed. And we crammed 6 or 7 people in tuk-tuk rides on the street. We were all squished together. And if I was to take anything away from India, is that even though other cultures are different, people live that day to day in their lives. So
did that country push you the most or challenge you the most?
I think India definitely pushed me the most, or yeah, it was the most tough for me to adapt. Cool.
Let's time for maybe one more question. What would you say to someone who might be thinking about going?
I would highly recommend a gap year. I think after thinking about this during my last week in Virginia, if I could go back in time and I had to decide whether to go to college or go take a gap year, I would definitely take a gap year again, just because I just feel like I grew so much because I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and I think that'll really help me in college in like joining new clubs or meeting new people, and it just gave me a whole new perspective on life.
Thank you.
Thank you.